Good evening, good evening, good evening, folks. Welcome to another episode of Spilling Tea. I'm your host, Tiffany Daniels. We are going back to that horrible world known as the JRC, but before we do, the usual disclaimers. Again, I apologize about the close up of my ugly mug, but pretty candelabra is sitting behind the computer, so you know. All right, to the disclaimers, folks. Straight to it. I like my tea extra strong. If you're unfamiliar with the Stop the Shocks campaign or with the campaign against the troubled teen industry, you're going to find all the pertinent links right there in the description box. Please, in particular, take note of the article written by NeuroClastic, a small non for profit started by autistics for autistics. In it, they interviewed over 900 ABA professionals in regards to the JRC's so called behavior modification program. The Judge Rotenberg Educational Center doesn't want you to read that article so much. They threatened NeuroClastic with a defamation lawsuit. They did not remove it from the website. NeuroClastic refused, so you know the drill, folks. Read that article, share it on all your social media. Also included in there is NeuroClastic's public statement regards to the defamation lawsuit threat, as well as a link to their GoFundMe. We are crowdfunding just in case the JRC ever actually does see through with their threat. All right, folks, trigger warning one. When we talk about places like the Judge Rotenberg Educational Center or Agape Boarding School for Boys, you're going to hear vivid descriptions of and catch clips of surveillance footage of people with mental health issues and disabled people being tortured and abused. If you got young children present, please make sure to go ahead and utilize those headphones. Trigger warning 2. This channel is marked not for kids for a reason. We use profanity on occasion and do tend to talk on dark subjects. If your child is 16 and younger and they are watching, very obviously, parental supervision is very much advised, all right? Okay, so where we left off yesterday, the response. If you do not know what we're responding to, please go back and watch the previous video before this one. All right, folks. Sorry, allergies. In other cases, we explain that we evaluated particular risks consistent with our view of the weight of evidence. For example, we explain in response 24 that the risk of seizures was not well established in part because the information came from individuals who attributed their seizures to ESDs, lay people, as well as advocacy groups that stated shocks could trigger seizures. Okay, I can see where this might be a thing. Okay. I can also see this as something the scientific literature does not back, and let me explain to you why. Because this is my experience with the medical model, folks, having both worked in the field and have had been treated by said medical model. They do not take anything any of us say seriously. They do not do studies on it. They generally take it with a grain of salt. If we do get a study out of it, it is usually because one of us is either in the group or heading the project, all right? It's gotten better with the last few years as more and more folks have gotten into the field themselves, whether they went into the area that I did or whether they've gone in more on the science side. But at the end of the day, I can tell you with my full chest, the medical model does not give a shit about anything we say, nor do they take it seriously. Usually, they reason to themselves, why would they? We're disabled. Our brains are wrong. Obviously, we don't know what we're talking about. Even when we prove that we do, they don't even listen. Okay? It has gotten better over the last 10 years or so, or it was getting better until we are getting dragged back down into GOP non intellectual hell. More strides have been made. But by and large, the reason why the scientific literature does not back this 100% is because the studies aren't really being done, or what people would call anecdotal evidence, which means although we can say in other situations with other folks who do indeed have seizures and are prone to them, can have said seizures triggered by stress, by trauma. You see where I'm going here, right? I just kind of wanted to explain that a little bit. So the FDA is letting you know the scientific literature does not back that claim. The fact of the matter is there is no scientific literature on it, point blank, period. Okay? Because they don't care what we have to say, what we think, or what we know is our own personal experience. When I talk about how we are looked at by the entirety of the world, this is what I mean. The few of us who have managed to break through and get heard on at least a few things have done so over work of decades, decades of work, and even decades of work. No matter how intelligent we are, how well we speak, or how well we mask, they still won't take us seriously unless there is a neurotypical group of peers, particularly if there is well-known professionals that are backing us, that they're actually willing to listen. Yeah. Fun being autistic, isn't it, kids? This is why I always get so mad every time, like, you just called yourself autistic because it's a fad. Because I'm going to say it for the billionth time. Nobody signs up for this shit, Karen. Years of hatred. Having myself be mocked, my intelligence mocked. I'm either mocked, belittled, and dismissed, or I'm put up on some bizarre pedestal as someone to be admired because I went to the grocery store the other day. But yeah, not gonna rant tonight. Let's get back to the facts, shall we? Freaking kill me. Minor discrimination is still discrimination, folks, which means we're still being othered. You get what I'm saying, right? We didn't segregate ourselves. The world did. Don't get mad at us. But, anyways, sorry. Because we did not accord this information significant weight, it did not greatly affect our evaluation of the benefit risk profile. We're going to stop there, but basically, what they're using is this particular argument as a way to let the commenter know that some of the things that they were told by the survivors, by survivors' parents, even by the professionals who treated them for said issues, they didn't take it to heart nor include it as a part of their decision because the scientific literature did not back it. As to why, No, the FDA doesn't quite know just how much the medical model looks down on us, whether it's benevolently or not so benevolently. They look down on us. Okay? Yes, even me. Yeah. But that is besides the point. What they're using here as an example in regards to scientific literature not backing what some of the survivor stories have indicated. And because it didn't, and there was no objective studies on the subject, they put that aside and removed it as a part of their decision making process. Means the commenter saying that they just simply dismissed anything in regards to what would look favorably upon the JRC, and only that which looked unfavorably upon them as absolute nonsense. Okay? Now, speaking of seizures, because this broaches the subject, even though it really has nothing to do with what we're reading here. Situations that I'm speaking of is in regards to people who do actually have some type or form of epilepsy. Skin shock in and of itself cannot induce seizures in an individual that has never really experienced them before. There are some things that can happen that can. This isn't one of them. Okay? However, that level of trauma and violence being visited upon someone who is epileptic, there is no doubt in my mind whatsoever that it absolutely would and could contribute to someone going into a seizure. Okay? We know, for example, that there are some people with epilepsy who are particularly sensitive to like blinking lights, right? Rapid lights like strobe lights being an example. If we know that as a scientific fact, it is not that hard of a stretch to believe that someone who already has epilepsy, when a violent, horrific trauma, such as that what they get up to the JRC, could also trigger a seizure in someone who already has them. Stress affects epileptics same way as it does with really the rest of us disabled. Okay? It has been proven in the past. If you ask me to quote a study, I probably couldn't tell you right now that contributing factors such as environment very well can trigger a seizure in epileptic people. That being said, in regards to those of us who are autistic, and whether stress levels or trauma events in somebody who's autistic as well as epileptic, and whether that can actually trigger a seizure. I do not know whether that topic has ever been studied, but I do not doubt for 5 minutes that it is possible. Okay? I'm going to go ahead and close out on that, folks. We don't get very many views on this channel. Oh, hold on, kitty. Say hi to the mirror. Say hi, kitty. There we go. We don't get very many views on this channel. The few that we do get do tend to get removed from time to time, folks. So please don't forget to hit the like button, hit subscribe. Don't forget to hit those comments. I do appreciate your time this evening. As always, folks, we here at Smelling Tea hope you have a good one. I'll see you in a few minutes.